Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Innocence. Minister Baba, we want to say be a petition against the.
My main education, I think, is very, very important. Okay. I think that be a culture Ghana, yeah, very reactionary people are issues abontia. That is where you see panic. You visit on the the outcomes, but we don't focus on the actual causes of some of these things because the CA, like I'm not sure anybody is surprised about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because answer na encourage cultural exams are results in the beba say a positive and I say a negative a long-term exercise happen from somewhere.
Exactly, yeah.
So you cannot just look at the outcome when it happened and so when the results came, I saw on social media what the results now to him say, you see, this is a narrow way of thinking because no more real school and there are preparation started Haruna Idrisu you first ordinary Ghanaian and all parliament. So outcome now reflected if the fact SC never does not mean that the outcome now I think there is a communication from the GES a communicating more results now but actually reflect the state of play and then because for the first time they implemented a very stringent invigilation mechanism. You know very well, sir, most of the teachers are facing prosecution because about over 600 individuals were with mobile phones inside examination hall using AI. They solve a question. Some foreign materials and then as a for so the scale not Sanema way it was quite obvious and I think specific instruction was given from the ministry to invigilators say conducted in any examination malfeasances, they will make sure that you'll be penalized. And you see, some of these things have political undertones. You cannot just glide and let it go. My culture say over the years, you politicize the entire SSE results, because a certain political decision was taken to ensure that we roll out free SHS program for a particular group of people, students in this country. So the government was focused on the outcome. Some of certain political dividend from that particular thing. So several desperate measures were put in place to ensure they achieve that. So the focus wasn't about the training and influencing, and I said improving the academic potential of the Enkrano. Now, the focus was on the outcome. That is it. So over the years, the whole concept of secondary school policy, the success was premised on examination outcome, and that was the whole idea. So certain decisions were taken. For instance, so here you've heard the past questions. Time of Mainsika, over 53 million Ghana cedis procure and some of this initiative because the education, the essence of education, isn't about student passing exams. But how prepare adequately in charge of his own life. Now the subsequent decision when in social environment, problem, how they are able to tackle all these things. But in Western times, we don't impact students. We don't train them to become anybody. And I said we don't impact them to build their moral and your friends say faculties, responsible people. Now how to get your A and B's and go. And it's the idea activating, motivating government to take some of these decisions. And also don't forget, in recent times, 2020, Akufo-Addo Aban now taking a decision to break away from WAEC, West African examination over the years. Now you're West Africa, but since 2020, we broke away. So the whole internal examination machinery was under the control of the Ghanaian government. So that is why some of the results because the motivation behind it is the free SHS. Let us get the student to pass to reflect policy and I am successful. The gauging point was the examination outcome. So a lot of desperate measures, including the parting away with your friends say WAEC, and they gave reasons your friends covered a whole lot of funny reasons but the reality was that to be able to have absolute control of the results and get things done in a way about reflecting the kind of political dividends that they say achieve, And this time around, and I'm saying there has been a change of government, new government, the same line and I'm for them in terms of results. Yesterday, not many or say so more market exams now. What mean market students will know so the person is unable to cross 50 plus and then I say for them. But there were just insistence that they should make sure that pass them or more because the Nipano failure. Say Nipano failure.
Yes.
Nipano failure. What's in life? So they should push them and make sure that they all go forward. You understand?
Innocent. So my question is, all this while,
yeah.
The stakeholders no key stakeholders no. I'm out. I'm to condemn whatever.
Yes, that is the problem
and
we have.
Now we are facing this reality, and people are talking about it.
That is the other side of your society, and also don't forget that the victimization. I had Master cry. I say, you know, to say we invigilator or share exams and so I think we need to accept this reality. Say, and reflect the actual state of play. And to go forward, what are the measures that you go just to ensure say education in this particular country, the actual purpose and the focus for its establishment? Because my for say, education isn't about A, B. It is about preparing the person adequately. So we face the realities of life. But I'm Ohiana drinking our Africans, the whole essence of education say, but the focus of education is yes, we are now it will only enhance your capacity. But first of all, the focus is on you as an individual. Whatever you find yourself, the education is supposed to enhance you and prepare you to face social life. But at the designation of our educational system, do not take into account of these things. We do everything desperately just to ensure that the focus is on exams. And unfortunately, even if you go to our universities, it's the same thing there. The focus is on the university. Thinking that the exams is the punishing point. Or make the child. But the whole period, how many days natural exams? Sometimes 2 weeks, 1 week. Yeah. So are you telling me, sir, the whole years now, the whole months now cannot spend it on campus, I don't know there, but exams now about pass it. I don't know here. I think we need to redesign and retool our educational system just to ensure that. Now, no matter so, so Emma funny reasons so. And Krana a teacher for your more, young come once and not come and Krana say, you see, these are primitive arguments that you should make because my catcher man was there. The ocean body abua crying as a for no, and yes, and then the mark higher discipline as any discipline. Yeah. Because when you get to a certain age, so far Eric Erickson, the psychosocial theory of human development, offer adult center 12 to 18 years. And Krana was secondary school, that is the stage of finding themselves in. And the thing there is your friend said identity versus confusion. And when you are in a secondary school, at that particular way, you are struggling to identify who you really are. That is why in developmental stages in life, baby, I'm for taking a young question in my secondary school. Yes. Or between confirm question dimmed to okay dimmed or secondary because at that age, you are struggling for identity. What I say? You are struggling for identity to identify yourself. Say you belong here, you belong here. So they go through a lot of experimentation young people at that particular age. So at that age, the primary focus should be on the kind of training what they man or something about me ground in a particular identity. No what chance that this is your role. So from here, you pursue and go forward. But some of these psychosocial developmental our education system don't even take into consideration. The focus is exams oriented. So one pass here was so useless person that you who be that. So pass here, you are prominent. You understand?
Yes. So this is what how far we have come.
Okay.
But yes. What is the way forward? Because now the education system is being manipulated by the government in power.
Yes.
You name roll at a time. Not at say. Kofo bayo besesano. Atames bayo no so besesano. Now bayo no so besesano. Now John Dramani Mahama bayo no so esano. Now it is going through this level of struggle. I mean, because this is a system where it should not go through this level of reforms. Now, Kenya positive reforms, na intimi M1 krano edachin. But now look at the way and manner it's being handled.
I think we just need to get our priorities right and know the essential outcome we seek from education. Because that essential outcome you seek, you know, ever drive your policy options. For instance, if the ultimate essential outcome you see from education is to getting ABCR, you design the entire curriculum to enhance that outcome. What does that make? But if the focus is on the development of a child, a whole as a human being, the entire educational system is to take a child through a certain transformation. Apart from so we school, no, so failure, so pass you could see that you have become a better person, an enhanced form of a person. So if that is the focus, and then the world around us, that is exactly the focus of every country. Just to ensure that by the time you come out of the school, no, something has gone through you. Yes, you just went through. But then if you look at the design, and not gonna hire, look at the way we scatter our education. Anajo, I'm for a school. Area, I'm for a school. Weekends, I'm for a school. People are just going just for the certificate. But the system is not designed to impact on you. So depending on your school, we know is for. That is the system, because education is not having any impact. It's about chasing a park or certificate. That was what the last time I was telling you. The only thing they didn't want to see a piece of paper. Because you should be able to demonstrate to people, say, I am smart, I am intelligent, I am capable, and this is what I can do. You don't need a documentation. If you are doing a good presentation, do you need to go home and bring your media certificate to tell people, say, because media school, who cares? But it's about the delivery, the job that you do, you understand? Sure. And that should be the capacity building aspect of our education that we are missing. And unfortunately, among forgetting all these grades, they go to the universities, especially the dangerous ones are those with the AAA ones. Because, you just go to the universities and do your little research around them. Because it got to a point, you go to the secondary school, teachers are standing on the board, they write the answers on the board and students copy everything. This is a normal practice that very often happen because the focus is on the outcome. Then that would mean you're category A, but long-term consequence, and then they're what have. So I think we need to retool and redesign our education. Okay. Now again, that's in America. China has come to the realization that industrialization is the best way everything will be competitive in this global market. Let us try to bridge the gap between academia and the job market. And then China, you could see all the curriculum na school in school I want direct linkage. And then China has taken a giant step in innovation, scientific innovations, tech. Then as a forum. Sure. So the schools have been structured to reflect that. So when you come out of the school, it's so easy to transition into the job market. You come and go to the universities. How often do people transition into job market? Nippon of free university, I'm first class or call a your friends national service. Coco credit no yes man koto. No, people will not even sit down go visit school by then or ever. But these are fine brains and in a normal sense, no, or more the certain energy biaba are very brilliant, very your friends energetic, or make me add something of value to our education. Okay, America's the big corporations, you know, they go to universities and hunt for the young ones who are coming because they have the creative energy and what they buy on board. But we prefer retaining old brains due for retirement at the expense of these young people because we know our educational system now has any deficiencies, you know, and so overwhelming. And school, Baba na man for correct the past exams.
All right.
And the schools, you know, all that they do is pass questions. Until we no focus on past questions, study out. At the end of the day, the developmental aspect where the education is supposed to have a significant impact on the development of the child. No? That is zero. You know, that is why the conversation by I'm education this. Everybody is fixating on the result. What's the acquiring development? We have failed as a country.
All right. So, Ivan and Lucius, but President John Dramani Mahama has received 10 petitions for the removal of 2 heads of the public institutions and the deputies appointed under Article 70 of the Constitution. Innocent.
Yeah, Debbie.
Yes.
I think I'm not surprised because in the middle of this year, I have a kind of petitions are ready. I remove Chief Justice and I remove the EC boss. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, sure.
But yet, felt the way be a crank about doors watching the wing and a chill. You're saying Abrabobonia, J. Mensa, and the team, Abo say. almost a man for the and I'm almost so Emma. The first constitutional crisis occasion in this country for 4 good years, where a group of people, and we are Ghana for Japanese and Togolese, they lived in this country without a representation for 4 good years. That is the biggest constitutional injustice anybody can do, and that alone is enough grounds for their removal. Aside that, the belligerent poster and some foolish commentaries being run by people like your friend say Teteo and the deputy, an officer of an electoral commission, your friend say an umpire, a neutral arbiter, when away in charge of elections in this country, your temperament, your language, the wording, the construction should be something. I respect your man for, but you don't speak in the tone. Critical stakeholders in their electoral enterprise. But Manasare infamous comment, these people, may say if they have a sense of shame, after they let one casa pack your bag, but Kromana Yawono, Sa, I drain you in the party, and the old crowd while a deposition now. And that is what you have said, Tokonoya, and then a Nimguasiaba, and then your friend saying, entitlement and as for the Sakabiana, because I'm expecting Sanka by now, James and a boss Manasare. Because Utu 2020, the nonsense that occasion in this country, 2024, the near course will in some near Guchin war court crying in the year. And who back on a Pandai case, the judge is asking them to go and conduct free and fair election. It means the election was flouted with how do you call the elections? The integrity of your job, Rankasa, are questionable. We had elections in this country where we have to say your best election from constituency. Jaba cry near for between Westia, some parts in Europe, the rep war on the rep in you, you see a declare, okay, a babo, because soldier for so ya bore one on and as a forum. We cannot live in the country and blessing some of this nonsense and pretend is because John Mahama were there and this is a majority to know we should just let it go. We may go into another election and this thing will come up, and if you are not careful, we will wake up in a new dawn, a dawn of violence, a dawn of pandemonium, and what we don't want to. So for me, I think that in as much somebody might think, so baby, there are certain things that you cannot forgive because these are crimes that have been committed. Because if you go to Central Phoenix, the people who were denied 4 years of representation, that was a deliberate orchestration by the electoral commissioners just to cut the people out so that the seat will be won by somebody. These are political shenanigans, machinations that these people, and this is the time, the day of reckoning in Aba. And it's a Obia Transcend one monitor tradition, the president. Now, president in his wisdom, I forwarded to the Chief Justice. Chief Justice will not just say a petition, but no. He was also subjected to a critical scrutiny. And now, who said, admitted the threshold. I am at the petition. The petition is really competent. And I said, Otimia arrived on that by establishing the premier facility, and then a committee will be set up. So I think that Ghanaians will follow through. And for me, for me, my culture says, you see, you don't even need to waste time go through a removal of Kisia Jabin. Gaby, my culture said the office of the special prosecutor is a useless creation and a further burden on the taxpayer. First of all, it is not independent. That office has never been independent. And you see, the intention for its creation was diabolic. Because when Akufo-Addo decided to set up office of the special prosecutor, and then he saw a certain Martin Amidu who was very angry, very peeved. So they realized, okay, let us tap into his anger, his bitterness, and use him against the NDC people. And I've known that Martin Amidu is somebody of a higher conviction. The person in Buafudu doesn't mean that he will allow himself to be used. I know that they we saw the back and forth between the president, and it resulted in the comment that came. Then subsequent to that, that was when this particular gentleman came up. And I told you, sir, this whole thing now amount to nothing because office in Ankasa, the creation in Ankasa now ain't useful. So for me, the best thing that we can do now is to dissolve, cut the office out. Just cut the office out. Now you're making sure that resources be a will be you from the AG department, and if possible, you AG department from Ministry of Justice. Now the 2 independent bodies. Now you're making sure that at the regional level, they are resource adequate because criminal cases you go buying so as 2 people sitting at the Attorney General cannot. But the special prosecutor is not helping because Obai mentioned one case and 1 fire successful. Tiselana pa yetiana or the soldier near my sheshe the titisa or war Pakistan. Eko wura na mu kutu ni nema eko si saying. Your friends Lejana Yadna Yoko bossy Tiwa. The issues about I know that they killed the issue. using some tactics. I know that they should not die, and that is the player. So for me, I don't have any beef with him. I don't care about whether he stays or not. But maybe say the office in Ankasa occupy useless. We let us scrap and then let us focus on the AG and make sure that we resource them adequately to take up issues of prosecution, because the next 4 years, the message that the government will have to justify to the people of this country, they say criminals no more no more. That is the only language they can understand. Anything, nobody will take it. So prosecution is something indispensable, and the government can do without it. So any faculty avenue be ready to do it seriously, that is where the investments might go. Because so when you go back to account to the people, you tell them, say, and then they've been accounted for, and I said they've been prosecuted. See, I'm like, can you forget that, baby? Come across your back, no more, papa and come my. This is the whole finance minister, and I was sitting at the center of the financial chain in this particular country. And then about one casa woman who crew papa crew, they went to be remember. And that I don't know forever and never. If it doesn't come, his children are going to suffer a block of mortification forever, because you go to school, or class may catch us, oh papa kwasi am where is America went to be now Krano will not be able to obey in one because you didn't come. So I think that it is in his own interest, wherever he is. Nobody has pronounced him guilty, but he should come, because now he has been declared as a fugitive who has fled justice in this particular country. He should come back, maybe we'll have a better explanation. And then such a terrible state of affairs Akufo-Addo bequeathed to us as a country. And I can't say the track record there, it will forever be consigned to the dark pages of our political history. And generation will come learn a certain Akufo-Addo came as president, and he came and destroyed this country, and that record will forever will be back on him.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.